Dober dan, gospe in gospodje. Zelo sem zadovoljen, da je Slovenija gostila in v organizacijskem in političnem smislu uspešno pripeljala do konca četrto zasedanje voditeljev vrha Primorja.
Political views, we have managed to bring this fourth summit of the Three Seas Initiative to an end. As a host, my duty today is to give you some outlines of the declarations that has just been adopted, the final declaration of the Three Seas Initiative. And then I invite to the floor the host of the previous summits and the President of the European Commission to present their own views on this summit. Later on will be available for short questions. Presidents and high officials from 12 participating member states in the Three Seas Initiative that was hosted in Slovenia adopted the final declaration with the following focuses. First of all, the main goals and pillars of the Three Seas are threefold: boosting economic development, strengthening the cohesion of the EU, including by means of upgrading the infrastructure in the region and in reaching the transatlantic ties. The Three Seas Initiative is completely fully coherent with the EU's efforts towards strengthening cohesion and overcoming regional disparities within the EU regions. We believe that this Three Seas Initiative is fully complementary to the existing EU strategies and programs. The Three Seas Initiative is a presidential platform and an additional opportunity for the participating states to deepen the integration and cooperation, as well as overcome the developmental differences. At the same time, it is also an opportunity showing that our voice is of equal importance. And with this platform, we are strengthening our democratic legitimacy. Our declaration also underlines sustainable development as our strategic response to environmental and other issues. We also recognize that the states of the region aim towards the safety and the preservation of our water, energy and food resources. The Three Seas Initiative complements our participation within the EU and contributes to prosperity, security, democracy and the respect for human rights. The economic presence of the United States of America in this Three Seas Initiative can contribute to the strengthening of the transatlantic link and also provide an additional catalyst for an enhanced transatlantic partnership, opening up new business opportunities, including with mutually beneficial investment in infrastructure. The Three Seas Initiative remains open to partnership with the Western Balkan countries and the Eastern Partnership countries. We were encouraged by the results of the previous summits in Dubrovnik 2016, Warsaw 2017 and Bucharest 2018. Recalling the joint declarations at this summit, the presidents and high officials reaffirmed the message of unity and equality regarding the future of the European Union. We wish the EU to be driven by its values and freedoms that have provided peace, stability and prosperity across Europe. We encourage the institutions of the European Union, especially the Commission, to include the objectives and priorities of the Three Seas Initiative in formulating their policies. We appreciate for the second time in a row to have the presence of the President of the European Commission, Mr. Jean Claude Juncker. We are very thankful to him. We reaffirm the vital role of the common Euro-Atlantic future and an open and fair business cooperation. We welcome the progress in implementing the priority projects of the initiative as they are listed in the first progress report regarding the shortlist of the priority interconnection projects that were adopted during the third summit in Bucharest. We decided that henceforward the progress report shall bring a periodic evaluation of the implementation and achievements of the project. We welcome the organization of the Third Seas Initiative Business Forum in Ljubljana and its three areas essential to the future of the region: energy, infrastructure and digitalization, as well as the cross-cutting topics of security, innovation and environment. Let me add to that regarding the participation coming from different countries in large numbers, 43 countries, the large participation at the level of presidents and high officials. This summit was one of the biggest political and business events in the independent Slovenia in the last 30 years. In the end of the declaration, presidents welcomed the continuing growth of the network of chambers of commerce, following the example from the third business forum in Bucharest, and we also encouraged the inclusion of actors from the participating states, other member states, and the United States to this existing network. We welcome the establishment of the investment fund of the Three Seas Initiative. The fund aims at pipelining, supporting and financing the priority interconnection projects. Projects that are important for the future well-being and prosperity of the region and its people. It will act as a tool for creating new opportunities and further enhancing investment and economic cooperation among the Three Seas Initiative, the EU and other partner states. We welcome the high-level participation from partner countries and institutions at this fourth Three Seas Initiative Summit from the Federal Republic of Germany, the United States, and the European Commission, with all other interested parties. These will be continued to invite it to the forum. And now we continue first with President of Croatia, Ms. Kolinda Grabar-Kitarović.
Thank you, Borut. I would like to thank you personally, Mr. President, dear Borut. Thank you to the Slovenian government, to the Slovenian Chamber of Economy for this excellent organization and support we have received. And we would also like to thank our businessmen who have come here for the second business forum. This is the fourth summit of the Three Seas Initiative after Dubrovnik. I have to reiterate what you said yesterday, Mr. President, that this is truly a summit which is growing. It is an initiative which is developing and which has found its momentum. And out of our vision to eliminate differences between old and new Europe, we are turning our vision into concrete and specific projects which will be implemented with the help not only of the European Union and European funds, but also hopefully through this investment fund that you have mentioned and that we have established. I believe that this fund will be a major tool or channel for investments in our region. As I have said several times, the Three Seas Initiative is a platform for very specific projects. It is an initiative without bureaucracies, without secretaries, without headquarters, and it is growing and developing based on the effort invested not only by us, presidents, but also by our ministries, governments, as well as international institutions, from the World Bank to the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and our partners Germany and the United States, and of course European Commission, which has provided us with strong support. The participation of Mr. Juncker confirms continual support of the European Commission and of the European Union. The initiative is open to others, and we specifically appreciate the creativity of different countries. Borut, I believe we have created positive competition among countries. We want to make this summit better every year. We encourage everyone to be creative. The summit in Dubrovnik in 2016 and our initial meeting in New York 2015, from these two examples we see how far we have gone since our beginnings. Perhaps some were skeptical initially, or perhaps insecure about what this initiative would do. However, we have proved them wrong. We have met objectives which are strengthening economic growth of all our countries, strengthening cohesion in the European Union, and overcome regional differences, starting from our own countries, in other words, regional differences within countries, but also within the initiative. And finally, regional differences between our 12 member states and other EU member states. We will complete this and achieve build by building infrastructure. Mr. Juncker said today that traveling between our countries lasts 3 to 6 times longer than in other member states, which definitely affects tourism, private traveling, business relations, etc. Likewise, one of the objectives is to strengthen our voice, to make sure that we are equally heard as everyone else in the European Union in terms of creating EU policies. As Borut said, the objectives of this initiative and the main priorities of our initiative should be included in European policies, into existing policies and politics, into existing funds, which we can also create in the future. One of the dimensions is also strengthening transatlantic cooperation. So I'm very happy that we have a German president here who is a great friend to all of our countries, President Steinmeier, and also the U.S. State Secretary of Energy, Perry. Their presence confirm strong transatlantic ties and convergence between member states. They also show the main objective: cohesion, solidarity, better life for everyone, equal opportunities for all citizens of the EU. So the participation not only of Mr. Juncker but of the German president are proof of this. And I hope and I believe that in future we will have more partner states. Central Europe is one of the fastest growing regions in the European Union, and our cooperation is not only desirable, but it is a priority. With our initiatives, we will overcome imbalances within the European Union, and we will overcome divisions in Europe, division to the east and west. All the time we value and appreciate the EU values. So we want to make sure that Europe is integral. We want it to live in peace. But we also want Europe to be the union of countries which are equal, and union of citizens, all of whom have equal opportunities as well as equal rights and obligations. Having in mind the complexity of issues that the entire continent is facing, Central Europe could be seen as the beacon of commitment to the European idea, cohesion, consolidation, prosperity, fully integrated and functional internal market, which makes European Union more resilient globally. As I said, I'm glad that in our summit today we saw the participation of European Investment Bank, which ensures that it will go down the desired path. I have to say that I was surprised when I heard numbers and data, how much funds is necessary to raise the level of infrastructure, energy-related, transport and digital, to equalize it to the levels in the rest of European Union. However, I'm optimistic and I believe that with our initiatives and other projects of the European Union, we will be able to meet our objectives, and that we will not only create links among ourselves, but in the entire European area. We have determined our needs when it comes to modern infrastructure through the list of priority interconnection projects. As you know, we have first progress report. So we do not want to waste time. We want to show from one summit to the next what we have achieved. When it comes to flagship projects, we will also have periodic reports on their progress. These projects will ensure greater cohesion and consolidation in the EU, and they will make our countries and Europe stronger. Strong support from the EU to investors create greater security, and we have to utilize that. We've also talked a lot about our countries and their need to strengthen investment climate. We all agreed today that it is absolutely necessary to remove red tape, unnecessary bureaucracy, and to accelerate proceedings of issuing different permits and generally doing business in all of our states. Our projects and our objectives are long-term. This second business forum was an excellent opportunity for business talks. High officials and businessmen convened in the forum from the initiative member states, but other partner states as well. And I'm sure that this business forum will help improve cross-border investments. Finally, I would like to remind you of the words of President Trump from our 2017 Warsaw meeting. Quote, "The Three Seas initiative will not only empower your people to prosper, but it will ensure that your nations remain sovereign, secure, and free from foreign pressure and coercion." Central Europe is finally taking charge of its own destiny. Our message is clear. We are staying where we are for stronger and safer Europe and for stronger and more prosperous member states and for the benefit of all of our citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Andrzej Duda will be the next one. Since the very beginning of this initiative, he was very keen on this initiative, so I'm happy to give the floor.
Distinguished presidents, all guests, distinguished members of the press, first and foremost, I would like to thank you very warmly. To thank very warmly to the President of Slovenia, Mr. Borut Bahor, and his team, to the Slovenian government, and to the Slovenian Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for organizing this fourth Three Seas Summit and the second business forum of the Three Seas, which started yesterday and is taking place today also parallel to our meeting. Thank you very much for everything that is happening here in Slovenia, what has been happening here for the last 2 days. All of that demonstrates how much our cooperation has developed within the Three Seas initiative. And it demonstrates also how this project, which was launched by us 4 years ago, how important this project is. Just a moment ago, I listened to the words of President of Croatia, Mrs. Kolinda Grabar-Kitarović, and I counted all the meetings within the framework of the Three Seas, which have already taken place. And I recall when we met for the first time with Madam President in Kraków, in Villa Decius in 2015, and that was the first time when we talked about creating such an initiative for Central Europe, for Europe which used to be behind the Iron Curtain in the past and which for many years actually was delayed in terms of infrastructure, precisely the infrastructure in terms of roads, rails, energy, and today also digital infrastructure, because this is the kind of development that we want to have in the future. Therefore, we concluded that within the framework of the European Union, we should gather and look for additional opportunities, first of all, to look for additional opportunities to obtain funds, to develop our infrastructure. But first and foremost, we wanted to create in Central Europe this effect of cooperation. We wanted to coordinate our infrastructure efforts to make sure that we create those connections in a coherent way along the north-south axis. And we have been successful. The first such summit took place in New York, organized by the President of Croatia. And then, indeed, we met in Dubrovnik. That was a true meeting where we discussed the concretes. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have already 4 institutions of the Three Seas, and 2 of them are basic ones. First of all, this is the progress report, which reports the development. We look at it every day, and we look at the investment that we indicated as priority investments, and we are looking at their development, how they move on. And the second basic institution, which has recently been set up, is the Three Seas Fund, which has been mentioned here today. We decided to set up this fund as the only form of institutionalized cooperation within the Three Seas initiative, because as mentioned before by the presidents, we don't want any bureaucracy. We don't want to set up any special secretariats or any other institutions. No. What we want to have is common projects, and we want to have as many opportunities as possible to finance those projects, to ensure that this infrastructure development is cohesive and coherent, that it happens as fast as possible, and that by the same token we can develop Europe within the aspect of the European Union. This is a thing that is crucial to us. Simply said, as far as infrastructure is concerned, we want to catch up with Western Europe, and by the same token, we want to create for European entrepreneurs, European tourists, and all the others better infrastructure and transportation possibilities, better possibilities of development, also economic development, speaking in a nutshell, because this is the purpose of the whole infrastructure. We also want to provide security, be it energy security. For that reason, among others, we are striving at developing energy infrastructure, gas infrastructure. We are striving at building interconnectors. And in this particular context, we are stressing the Polish LNG terminal in Świnoujście. We are connecting it also with the LNG terminal in Krk, in the island of Krk in Croatia. These terminals are supposed to provide a little link between the north of Europe and the south of Europe in terms of gas and in terms of transmission opportunities. This also provides an opportunity to support each other if such a need arises as far as energy security is concerned. And first and foremost, this provides gas supplies and provides alternatives. In other words, it opens up opportunities to diversify the deliveries of this raw material to our markets. And this is a thing of crucial importance. And in this respect, we are cooperating also with the United States of America. So we are very pleased indeed with the presence of our American partner at this 4th Three Seas Summit. The United States is represented by the Energy Secretary, Mr. Rick Perry, We are grateful very much also to the President of the European Commission, Mr. Jean Claude Juncker, for his presence. This is a very important kind of support to us, to the Three Seas initiative, to this part of the European Union. In a sense, we can say that the European Commission has given us a positive review, and we are supported by the personal presence of the President of the European Commission, and it is invaluable to us. This presence, it shows that also our actions, what we are doing, our strivings to develop, to speed up, to use not only what is offered by the EU itself as part of the cohesion funds, but it also gives us an opportunity to look for additional opportunities to finance infrastructure funds. So now we can see that all of that is supported by the European Commission, and this is crucially important to us. We are also very pleased with the presence of the third partner of the Three Seas initiative. Now, we are grateful also for the presence of President Steinmeier, who worked with us here yesterday, and today we had representatives of the Federal Republic of Germany joining us for the meeting, for the debates. We are very pleased with that because, as everybody knows perfectly well, Germany is best developed country in Europe in terms of infrastructure. So having the support also from Germany for our efforts to catch up with Western Europe in terms of infrastructure is crucially important to us. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to follow on this path. We want to continue in the development of our countries, as I said, for the benefit of our societies, but not only. That is also for the benefit of the entire European Union and those who are coming to the European Union. First and foremost, it is important for providing better economic perspectives, better business and tourist perspectives in this space between the north and south of Europe. All of that provides security and also prosperity for our societies. This is the thing of fundamental importance to us. We believe that it is a great task of us, as those representing the states and nations today, who have been given this democratic power. We believe that this is our duty to strive for such a development, and we will go to all lengths to that. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. President of Slovenia, Borut Bahor, for organizing this Three Seas Summit. Thank you very much that the European Infrastructure Bank has declared today, through the statement made by the President of the Bank, its support for the Three Seas Fund. Thank you very much also for the declaration that was made yesterday by the President of Estonia, Mrs. Kersti Kaljulaid, that the next Three Seas Summit in 1 year's time at the level of heads of state and government will take place precisely in Estonia. Thank you very much for that. And in a nutshell, see you, ladies and gentlemen, there where Madam President will choose the venue. It might be Tallinn or another place in Estonia where we are going to meet next year at the level of presidents. And let me also encourage you to meet within the framework of the Three Seas and to work also at other levels. Because 1.5 years ago in Poland, in the city of Rzeszów, there was a meeting of the regions of the Three Seas, the Forum of Regions of the Three Seas Initiative. It is also a very important form of cooperation, bringing together local authorities, regional authorities, local governments of different countries, and beyond any doubt, it constitutes a very strong support for all the actions that are taken at all other levels of the Three Seas, the government-to-government level and our presidential level. Once again, thank you very much to you, Mr. President, for having organized this summit. Thank you to our partners, and thank you to everyone for participating in this very important meeting.
Before I give the floor to our Romanian friend, I would like to give the floor to the President of the European Commission, Mr. Jean Claude Juncker. I'm very pleased, Mr. Juncker, that you have decided to participate at this conference for the second time.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, dear friend Borut. Truthfully, I am really happy to be here in Slovenia for the summit, the Three Seas initiatives. And I would like to thank Borut for the excellent hospitality that we have enjoyed. This is the best month to have come to Europe because on the 1st of May, we celebrated the 15th anniversary of the accession of Slovenia to the European Union. So I am really very happy to be here with your friends who were all present then when in 2004 we brought together the history and the geography in Europe. So this is and was an important moment for all of us. The Three Seas initiative is not a neutral initiative. This is not something in the air. This means very concrete projects, the objective of which is to improve the life of people living in these regions. And for this reason, the Commission has from very beginning been helping this initiative. Between 2014 and 2020, we have invested from the structural fund 60 billion euro in this region, and the Juncker plan has generated in these years 42 billion euro for the 12 member states of the region. And I believe that we have and will done everything to support the efforts aiming at better cohesion and better connectivity in the regions. For the next years, 2022-27, we have foreseen at the level the Commission in the budget proposal for the next financial period an amount of 42.3 billion euro to improve the interconnectivity in Europe and in particular in this region. And therefore, for all these reasons, I am very happy to be with you, and you'll be happy now because I will be taking a plane right now.
Prav je, da ima na koncu besedo predsednik predsedujoče države Evropske unije in našega romunskega prijatelja Klaus.
Mr. Klaus, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, presidents, guests, I was honored to be a participant in the fourth Three Seas Initiative Summit. I give particular thanks to President Bahor for his efforts to see to it that this event is a genuine success. As you know, the initiative is a regional platform which supports economic development in the region, increasing convergence and coherence, European coherence, and strengthening transatlantic relations too. I welcome the fact that in today's meeting, these priorities set at the summit last year in Bucharest have been reconfirmed. It is primarily an initiative which is trying to strengthen the economic competitivity of our countries by maximizing regional interconnectivity. The second goal is to increase real convergence between EU member states, thus contributing to strengthening the unity and cohesion within the Union to allow a continuation of the policies for European integration as a basis for the strengthening of the European project. I'm therefore happy that President Juncker has accepted today too to join us after he represented the EU Commission in Bucharest for the first time in an initiative summit, Three Seas Initiative Summit. Then the initiative also contributes to the strengthening of transatlantic ties. The presence of the U.S. in the region is a genuine catalyst for cooperation. It has a strategic value and is also a crucial component of our transatlantic partnership. I therefore welcome the presence of U.S. Secretary of Energy, who also attended last year in Bucharest. The summit and business forum that we hosted in Romania in 2018 were the point of political and conceptual maturity of the initiative. And at the same time, it's moving towards pragmatic developments. On that occasion, we agreed on important instruments to further the initiative. The list of priority projects for interconnectivity in transports, energy, and digital, the network of chambers of commerce and industry in the region, and the creation of the initiative's investment forum. Today, I saw with great satisfaction that these instruments are functional. Thus, the progress report on the implementation of the projects on the list in Bucharest sees progress in an important number of these projects. The business forum of the initiative, whose first edition was last year in Bucharest, continues to be an important component of our annual summit. The first meeting of the network of chambers of commerce in the region was successfully organized in the margin of today's business forum, and the investment fund of the initiative has become operational. I welcome the fact that my country, via Exim Bank, is a participant in this initiative, and I encourage other interested partners to join the initiative. I'm also glad that Germany, after attending the summit for the first time in Bucharest, continues to be actively involved in supporting the initiative. I also welcome the growing interest of the European financial institutions, which will hopefully acquire concrete form in the coming period as regards the priority projects and the investment fund. Today's results confirm the validity of the goals successfully undertaken in this Bucharest summit and whose implementation was continued by this summit here. We need to continue this pragmatic action line so as to come up with concrete solutions for the prosperity of our citizens. Thank you.
We were much longer with these introductory statements than planned, and I know that Mr. Juncker has to rush to the airport. I would like to ask you, do you have any questions for the President of the European Commission? Please go ahead.
From the French news agency, I'm going to speak in English. I'm sorry. Mr. Juncker, can I ask you, please, would you comment this summit, and especially in light of the fact that some countries that could be also included are not present, do you think this initiative could in fact widen the gap between the so-called two-speed EU countries? And other question, if you may comment also the situation currently with the US-China trade war, and how do you think it's going to impact, after all, the EU's interests? Thanks.
Yes, I don't think that this initiative will widen the gap between different parts of Europe. It will close the gap between different parts of Europe, because this is about interconnectivity, this is about the living conditions which will be improved after different projects will have been implemented. I do think that others should be around the table. I was listening carefully to my good friend Kolinda when she was saying that she hopes that others will join, and Borut did say exactly the same in our meeting. As far as the trade conflict between China and the US is concerned, I have to say that I'm highly concerned by this development, because the first consequences of all this is that worldwide economic growth is slowing down. It's not good for trade, it's not good for commerce, it's not good for the social developments on this continent and elsewhere, if these two big players are not able to bring this conflict, which is not necessary, to a good end.
Vprašanja za predsednika Evropske komisije. Naprej, gospa.
Mr. Juncker, we are interested in the process ahead, which is new European Commission. Talks have started. You say that our president is your dear friend. And considering that in the last 10 years we see an increase in the number of women in presidential roles, in the prime ministerial roles, and when it comes to negotiations about the new president of the European Commission, is there a possibility that you are replaced or succeeded by a woman in your position of the president of the European Commission?
Listen, I will not be member of the next commission, so I will not be involved. But I would like to see more women in the commission. When I was starting with the commission, there was only one woman among the proposers. I finally managed to get the number to 9, which is still not enough, because many women graduate from universities, and there are only 9 women in the commissions. I don't think that we can hope in a very short, in a very near future to see a woman at the head of the commission.
Question to President Juncker, Piotr Falkowski, Nasz Dziennik Poland. Mr. President, all 3 countries are members of European Union, but as we could see yesterday during Business Forum, almost all participants perceive the opportunity for their development, mostly in economic relations with the United States, and Secretary Perry attended it, and it was highly appreciated. Don't you think there is a problem in European integration that significant part of member states that the integration process doesn't meet aspirations of a significant part of member states?
Maybe, and it truly is, that what we are doing as a Commission and as a European Council is not always meeting all the legitimate aspirations of the different parts of Europe. But I'm not agreeing to a sentence saying that we are voluntarily dividing the European Union in 2 parts. No, all member states are equal in rights, are equal in dignity, big and small. East and west, south and north, everything. I have to go.
Just one question. You just said that all member states are equally important, but to our president, 2 years ago, you said that nobody is interested in the open question of the arbitration dispute between Slovenia and Croatia. So I'm wondering, you are now leaving the Commission with this unresolved issue, and you have not taken any sides in this arbitration dispute regarding the international law. How do you feel about that? Our countries cooperate, but this issue remains outstanding. It looks like that your attitude was related to a support to a political group within the European Union.
Attendez et voir.
Wait and see.
Bye-bye.
Hvala, Jean-Claude. Je še kakšno vprašanje za...
Any other question?
Ja, prosim. Izvolite.
I'm Oana Bălă, Radio Romania. Question for President Klaus Iohannis. How do you regard the results of this summit in relation to the results of the summit in Bucharest, especially in terms of the progress of projects that are of interest for Romania and for the creation of that investment fund? If we are talking about the investment fund, we need to see that Romania took its role very seriously here, and substantial participation from Exim Bank already shows very strong involvement in these projects. The progress report shows that things are beginning to move, And this is, in fact, the most important result of this summit, to find that from an initial stage of political discussions that we started with, we moved to the planning stage last year in Bucharest. We devised a concrete list of projects, and then this year we went into the pragmatic stage of the initiative, and it's beginning to gather shape in various projects that are going to be implemented. We need to emphasize here that we're not talking about short-term projects or very local impact projects. We're talking about projects that operate on a longer term and have a regional impact. I think it is wonderful to see the progress seen since last year.
A question on behalf of Croatian journalists for Madam President. Madam President, from the beginning of your term, you talked about this initiative. As far as I can remember, it was a Baltic-Adriatic axis that Mr. Duda have just mentioned, and then 3 Seas initiatives followed. I was in New York in the meeting where you presided and other presidents. It received a strong Atlantic Council support, followed by Warsaw and Trump, Bucharest, very serious, and now here, Brdo kod Kranja. 3 Croatian governments have changed during your term. What is your evaluation? How have Croatian governments followed you in this initiative? Because you keep talking about this initiative. What about the engagement of the 3 different Croatian governments that's changed during your term and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well? I'm interested in your opinion about their participation. In addition, the intensity of our initiative, will it lead to the change in the position of the President of the Republic? This project is seen in Croatia as your capital project, something that you have been insisting on for a while. Thank you. Thank you for a question. When it comes to cooperation with the government, I have excellent cooperation with several ministries which are involved in these key elements of our key projects. Soon after we started talking about the 3 Seas initiative, the Ministry of Transport created a transport map of Croatia within the region and marked our potential projects. One of them that was presented here is the port of Rijeka and its infrastructure. For me, it is very important, not only because Rijeka is my hometown, but because I believe this is a true axis for the development of the entire Rijeka region. In addition, Minister Ćorić, who is here with me today, we've cooperated closely on LNG terminal and on other projects as well. When it comes to speed, I think that we can do things in Croatia much faster, and we all agreed in today's meeting that time is running out and that we need to accelerate our infrastructure and other projects. Otherwise, we will lose momentum and we will lose the developed part of the European Union. My ambition and ambition of my colleagues is to see our countries among most prosperous democratic countries, and this is what we have been working on. When it comes to your second question, whether this will continue after a potential change in the position of president in our country, I do hope it will go on, because this is not my private initiatives, although some media like to present it that way. This is not about my personal promotion, because as you can see, we have presidents here of other countries. This initiative has been developed for 4 years now. It has absolute support from the European Commission, from Germany and the United States. This initiative is very serious, and Croatia can only lose if it slows down its participation or if it becomes more passive. Thank you.
Last question.
A question for Mr. Bahor. You have talked about the establishment investment fund, and Mr. Juncker has added 43 billion additional euros. But what are the financial shares of the states for these priority projects? Slovenia has 5 priority projects. We briefly exchanged the opinion on this with the Prime Minister, but the government has not discussed this yet, but it definitely will, and when it will inform you of its decisions. The leading role at the moment when the fund is being established is played by Poland. Today, the project was officially also joined by the European Investment Bank, so we will keep you informed of the project.
Would you like to add something? No? Hvala. Srečno.
Thank you, and all the best to you.